Hi, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
And we are Working Class Nerds,
where the podcast gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, March 7th, 2019. You can find this, holy shit, we're being taken over by Sith Talk podcast on Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher.
You can find Marcus on Twitter at MarcusB814, and I am at Nick Vern, that's NickVern. And this week's episode, we're going to be talking about the state of the Star Wars universe. And joining us in this conversation is one of the hosts of Sith Talk, Sam Barnes. Thank you for coming on the show. And what have you been up to this week?
Hello there. Well, it is a awesome honor to be on this show. I've enjoyed listening to you guys, so I'm glad I could be here. Unfortunately, my Sith in crime, Zach Chrisman, could not join me this evening, and that's all right. That's just going to have to be a future episode because he is a big guy into Star Wars: The Old Republic, and to confess to you, I have never played it, but
it's okay. You'll be good after this. It's okay. You'll be converted after this.
Oh yes, I'm sure the conversion therapy is going to go splendidly tonight. So a little bit about myself. I generally work as a photographer, videographer. I'm a studio assistant at a place in Chicago. Things have been happening to me this week. I just finished the Star Wars Padme book, Queen's Shadow. Definitely recommend it. Very good. We're prepping for C2E2, which is a convention here in Chicago. And beyond that, boy, just, the general life stuff of, go to work, come back and try and game a little bit when I can. Big fan of playing Gran Turismo Sport when I get the chance.
Nice. That's your go-to kill an hour or so after work game, Gran Turismo.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed racing games. I've never been the biggest multiplayer person. Like my friends enjoy doing it, and I'll play. The big one right now is Apex Legends. I'm terrible, but I play and I have fun with it.
So I love racing games myself, and my favorite racing games are the Dirt series.
Oh,
there was one like Dirt. It was where all you had to do was like drift around. I don't remember what edition of it. That wasn't for me, but like the Dirt Rally games.
Yeah.
That's my shit. I love it. And on my computer, it rocks.
Dude.
No, those are awesome games to play. I mean, I've always enjoyed more of a, not that I don't like sliding the back out when I get the chance, but I'm much more of a high downforce guy. I love watching Formula One, and the season's starting pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
So super duper excited for that next week. They're going to be in Melbourne, Australia. Can't wait to watch. But no, I got started on racing games, like everyone else. Like we played, I think it was Need for Speed Underground 2 was what got me hooked. And then I started getting into more realistic racing simulators. I actually know a lot of guys who raced not only sim competitively, but actually I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Nissan GT Academy series.
Nope.
Where basically what they would do is Nissan and Gran Turismo partner together, and you could submit your lap times, and the highest 15, I think it was, or 10. They did a TV show where they flew everyone out to England, and it was, kind of reality TV style, but it was really cool because I made a video when I was in college probably, I don't know, 5 years ago at this point.
Sure.
And I actually got flown out to E3 and be a part of on the PlayStation stage, and it was a lot of fun. Raced a lot of guys, and they went onto the show and have raced all over the world. So it's cool.
Whoa, that's wicked cool.
I'm not that good. I'm okay, but I had fun with it.
Well, clearly you're pretty good if you're...
if you made it to E3.
Whether you're a good racer or a good videographer, one of the two is something you're good at.
Right. Yeah. Either good at racing or good at doctoring the footage. But no, I'm just kidding.
A little bit of both.
You definitely trumped the story I had queued up, but I haven't played racing games consistently in a long time, but I used to when I was younger, and I probably talked about it on the podcast before, but I go to this big, basically party business convention in New Hampshire at Mount Washington. It's called for the MFA. Every year, my dad, takes the family to it. Blah blah blah. Long story short, there's a bunch of activities for the kids, and one of the activities that always happens is a video game contest. There's like a video game contest for kids under 12, and then a teen video game contest for 13 to 18 or whatever. And then you play whatever game they pick for the year, and they give you some kind of prize. So when I was 10, the game was one of the dirt racing games, and I got my ass whooped. I did terrible. I think I was out in like the first round of the tournament. And then the next year I was 12, and the kid game was like, I don't know, something for the Wii or something like that. It was like Wii Bowling or something. And I'm like, I'm not playing that. Fuck that. I was like, I'm just going to sneak into the teen one. The teen one was Need for Speed Underground 2 for the PS2. I think that's right. Need for Speed Most Wanted. And I had played the shit out of that at home. And this 12-year-old, they're like, oh, how old are you? I'm like, 13. They're like, all right, whatever. Get in here, kid. And sure enough, I ended up winning the whole thing. And man, dude, it's just like a bunch of kids, and they're not actually professional gamers, but I won it. And I won, my prize was a Game Boy Advance SP. That was like the special edition, like light blue color with the extra backlight. And to this day, I still have that Game Boy. It was awesome. It's like the highlight of my gaming career, besides doing this podcast, of course. It was pretty cool. That's my only racing game experience is Need for Speed Most Wanted from back in the day. Marcus is just cracking up.
I just think it's funny because I've never heard the story.
You never heard this? I can't believe it's never come up. 38 episodes of a gaming-centered podcast. And I never brought up that I won a tournament when I was 12.
No, that you won a Game Boy SP. Like,
dude, the thing is legit. It's my favorite one ever.
Well, I know. Like, I wanted one of those, but I never got one.
Right. Believe it or not, I had a Game Boy Advance SP, the silver one, but it didn't have the backlight. And then I got the blue one. I was like, oh, this color's kind of
Wait a minute,
feminine.
Did you hear about the Game Boy that mounts on the back of your phone?
I did. So I really want to get that.
Yeah, so you just turn around and it's like old school Tetris in color.
That's really cool. I gotta get, yeah, but like that's so giant in your pocket. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I would just get an emulator and call it the end of the day. But
see, I'm with Sam.
So Sam, would you say you're a PC gamer or a console gamer?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I am a console gamer. For the longest time, and a lot of this is due to the fact that I've done a lot of video and photo editing. I was a Mac only person.
Mac gaming? How does that even work?
Now, hold on. Let me explain. So I had a lot of Macs for a long time, but after my recent laptop died, my brother-in-law, he was like, no, we're going to set you up with a nice PC. Basically, I told him my budget, and he goes, I can build you a PC that's double the power, the whole sales pitch, Sure. So I have a PC now. I can't tell you anything about it. It's not like, oh, it's got a Titan 3800. It's I can look at the box in the closet and tell you what's in it. But generally, I try to keep my tower as a work thing and game on my console devices. Now, generally, I buy Sony, but all of my friends are Xbox guys. Like literally,
I'm a PS4 guy too. It's all good.
One of my friends was so angry I didn't get out and buy an Xbox One that he wanted to upgrade to the Xbox One S. And he just goes, what's your address? I'm mailing you my old one. So he gave me his old Xbox One because he's like, I'm tired of you not having one.
That's
so,
great.
Luckily, I have the trinity of the PS4, the Switch, the Xbox, so nice. I get to dabble in all three. I probably am using the Switch the most right now because I play it at my lunch hour at work. So
nice.
Love this. Can't wait for because I just don't ever explore any games. They're going to do the remastered Final Fantasy X for the Switch, and that's going to take over my life at work, basically.
Marcus likes JRPGs like that. I never got into them.
I used to, but now that I'm an old man, with a 3-year-old and a 5-month-old, I have no time to be able to play that kind of game.
Right.
And my problem is every time I play another game, I feel like I'm cheating on SOTOR.
Right.
Like I'm like, I could be doing my dailies. I could be getting a 252 chess piece right now or something of that sort.
You could be working to get better at whatever hard mode op you're struggling on or whatever. Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm cheating. And I guess that's the hole that you go into with an MMO. And the scary part for me is once SOTOR isn't here someday,
right?
Hopefully like 30 years from now when I'm retired and dead. What am I going to do?
Right.
Because I'm not going to have any backup game. So it's going to be like I haven't dabbled in anything.
Right. You're going to like go to whatever the newest of new game is. Like, oh my God, look at these graphics. Well, you do that now with some of the new games. Yeah. They're like, they're unbelievable. I'm like, dude, that game's like 4 years old. Yeah, but I'm playing a 7-year-old game. Or, sorry, 5.
No,
6-year-old. 7?
Okay. All right, so can I just tell you what I've been doing now?
Yeah, go right ahead.
What have you... I know. You don't even have to say it. Just let me talk. All right.
Go ahead.
So back to my computer.
Yes.
I'm losing my mind, right?
It's directly my computer.
Yeah. It's pretty powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I bought Anthem.
Yeah.
I'm going to play Anthem.
You bought it and didn't play it yet?
I'm getting to that.
Oh, boy.
So I get it. I download it. Now, I've played the alpha. Yep. I played the beta weekend.
Yep.
And I played the demo.
Yep.
So the game comes out. I go to play it. I download it. And then, of course, they come out with the day one patch because nobody can put out a fucking complete game
ever
on day one now.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, we'll just give these people a broken game and then we'll fix it in the first week.
Right.
And it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Sweep it under the rug.
Exactly. Well, I go to update it.
Don't have room.
Nope. So my 2 terabyte hard drive, full. My 1 terabyte solid state drive, full. My 500 gig solid state that runs my operating system, full. Like, I can't even put a megabyte picture on it.
Oh my God. What is on there? Just all games?
Whatever's on it. I don't even know. Okay. So
you can't possibly have that much porn. It's not possible.
Who saves
anything is possible?
Oh, anything is possible, but like who saves that?
No, I'm just kidding. That's a great point, though.
Code to everybody, Nick does.
Sometimes things get pulled off the streaming sites. You know what I mean?
So either way, so now I'm in a pickle. So I bought a 1 terabyte solid state drive.
Yeah.
And I'm all excited to switch it up, put it in. I plug in one part of the SATA, get it all powered up. My motherboard doesn't support more than 3 hard drives.
Oh my God. Well, frankly, I don't blame the manufacturer for that. It's kind of ridiculous.
No. So here's the problem.
Yep.
Do I wipe the computer and have to start over and because I looked up Microsoft Cloud Service.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. The most they'll give you is a terabyte per person.
Yeah.
I have 6. Or no, 1, 2, 3, 3.5 terabytes.
So why don't you just delete some of the games that are on there?
Okay, so what if I go back to it and I lose my save progress?
What? You can't isolate the save files?
That's a lot of work. Do you know how many games are on my computer?
Yeah, evidently a lot.
Yeah, a lot. There's
or why don't you just, if you want to keep them, why don't you just buy an additional hard drive and then swap one out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
as long as it's exclusively games on.
But I don't want to lose the hard drive that I don't want to lose anything.
Right.
So if I unplug one and plug one in, now what do I do with all the data that's on the other one?
You just stick it in a drawer and don't lose it.
Yeah, exactly. So, I'm in a pickle. Do I buy another hard drive? I mean,
or do you buy a different motherboard that supports more than
right
3 hard drives? I think that's probably the move. If you're
yeah. So
that's a big project, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Either way.
So besides computer,
all right. So that's I'm sorry. I'm so flustered by the whole computer thing because my computer rocks.
Yeah.
That I've completely gone off track and I'm blown away. Anyway,
so Sam, just for reference, the Titan 360 no scope video card that you were referencing, Marcus has that one.
Well, I didn't know he had the no scope edition. That's impressive.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So last week, or a couple Fridays ago, because we record on Thursdays, that following Friday after our last episode.
Yep.
I hosted the latest mega event for the guild.
Yep.
And we went to OSIS, and it was actually awesome because we had a lot of people show up, and usually it's from 9 to 11 p.m. real world time. Well, this time we actually went late because we were trying to beat 16 mode, the new layer boss, the Hive Queen.
Yeah.
And it was actually pretty cool because, some of the guildies had to leave because I understand it's 11 o'clock. Nobody's requiring you to stay all night.
Yeah.
People get tired. I wasn't leaving until we did it. So we called in some Rangers, and it was pretty cool because, I got to play with Doc Sotor again.
Oh, that's cool.
Instar Brian from The Bad Feeling all came. So it was it was great to bring those guys in and
hang out
with them in a different atmosphere other than just doing an operation that is kind of, I don't want to say serious because we have fun, but more serious.
But it is focused,
Yeah, focused. Anyway, we got 2 of the Datacrons on OSIS, which not a lot of us had. It was pretty fun. But on the way to the Hive Queen, there's a part where you have to blow up the bottom of the floor.
Okay.
And when you do, there's a big orange spot on the ground, and you have to run out.
Okay.
So before I clicked it, I waited until the entire 16-man team was standing on the orange, and then I clicked it, and then I just screamed, "Run!" Well, people didn't know what I was doing, so I killed 12 of the 16 people in the raid group, and it was great. And I took a screenshot of Max because he was streaming it and posted it all over the place because it was hilarious because he was just hysterically laughing, and it captured that one moment where like,
that's
gotcha. Great. Either way, so we did that. In accomplishment news, the Death Star Troopers team, we finally beat Draxus. We finally beat Grobfuck.
Wow.
And now we're on, so we're 3 of 5 in Dread Fortress hard mode. We're at Corruptor 0. We've only pulled them a couple times, but we'll get them in the next couple weeks, I hope.
Yeah.
Which is still exciting. The Wednesday night team that I have taken over, we're still looking for a full-time DPS. No experience needed. So if you guys know anybody that wants to do some operations.
So you should bother Zach about that.
Well, if Zach wasn't sitting at home watching Roadrunner and Coyote and instead of coming on the show, we could be talking to him.
Right.
Zach, yes.
Plus, Zach hasn't played in a while, so he probably has worse gear than I do.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. That's kind of hard.
We should start a podcast war.
Okay. Working class nerds versus Sith
No,
Talk?
Zach of Sith Talk.
Just Zach.
Yeah.
All right, deal.
Yeah,
I abstain.
It's on. So also,
Sam will be Switzerland.
Also, too, I'm just putting it out there that I have been playing Kingdom Hearts 3 because I'm proving to the world that I can play a game more than twice.
Yeah, but this is cheating. Like, the only reason you're playing it is because when you get home from work or whatever and you just want to play video games and relax, and then Carrie wants you to just hang out with Julia so she can relax, you can play Kingdom Hearts 3 and Julia will watch you and be like, oh my God, Rapunzel's coming up right around this corner. Just wait, Julia, and see. And she'll be like, okay, Daddy, I'll sit right here.
Is that your Julia voice?
That's my, yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, it was good. It was good. But no. So it's not possible.
Yeah.
Want me to tell you why?
Sure.
Because all I've watched since our last episode is A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and now we're on The Phantom Menace. Because in all she keeps telling me during where's Darth Maul? Is he fresh? And she thinks the Gungans are like crazy people. She goes, they're crazy.
Now, mind she's not entirely wrong.
Right. Well, of course. So she's 3 years old. So, some of the parts, like I cue it up to where like I'll fast forward through like where like she knows like when the Wampa comes, she goes, Daddy, the Wampa's bad. Luke's gonna get him. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah. And then like I fast forward through like the arm chop off. Right. She doesn't need to see that.
Right.
But and then the funniest thing was when she saw Han and Leia kiss.
Yeah.
She's like, they're getting married, Daddy. And I was like, I don't think so. Why? She goes, because they kissed and you and Mommy kissed and you're married. And I was just like, this is fucking pure awesome. But my wife tries to push watching, Princess, Princess this, Princess that, and she's not having it.
She's all Star Wars all the time.
So she was at the store. She goes to Target, right? Like every kid.
Yeah.
Out of the entire store, she comes home and she goes, I got you a present. It was a lightsaber that it hides like the color of it.
Yeah.
But inside it are these little tiny figurines.
Okay.
And she was so excited. And she saw that it was red. She goes, that's Darth Vader's lightsaber. She's running around the house going, zoom, 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 zoom. And I'm like, this is like, am I a winner as a dad or am I awful because she's 3 years old watching Star Wars? Like,
no way. This is great.
No, you are doing it right.
100%.
Well, so I take her with me to the comic book shop sometimes.
Yeah.
And now all she talks about is going to Barnes & Noble. Well, today, my wife and her go to Barnes & Noble. My wife says, you want to get a book? She goes, yep, I'm getting a Darth Vader book.
Wow.
And usually she'll like chicken out. But today I read her. She got a Star Wars book. I was proud of her.
Wow.
And she even picked out of the bargain bin. So that means she's not a typical woman. Because usually they pay full price for everything. Anyways, moving on.
Back at the ranch.
Yeah. So Nick,
what am I
you better be telling me you've played some Call of Duty or You played some kind of game because...
Yes, I definitely did.
All right.
I absolutely did. So it's been a whole bunch of school, but no exams, which means I had a lot of work to do, but then I could also then relax afterwards. So I did get a chance to play some Siege with Al this week, which was always fun. I had a mega update I had to get through. But I need a new gaming headset because my old one is just like shit the bed. It's old. The wires wore out. So I'll get here like every 3 words.
Did you buy one?
Yeah, I bought one.
You're such a fucking failure.
Why? Because you have...
I have like 7 of them.
I'll take it.
No, you got one, so now it's over.
Well, I'll come back to that. So I got a new gaming headset, which is good, but I just got it yesterday.
What brand?
Just a random brand from GameStop because I wanted to play really badly, and I just went and got one.
Okay.
So yeah, me trying to talk to Al in Siege, which is all about like extra communication, and he could hear like 3/4 of my words. Be like, Al, right around the corner.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. But I am gonna get. So I got like a I don't know, it was like $40 or something from GameStop. I am gonna get a real headset unless Marcus gives me one. I do want to buy a real one. So listeners, if you have any recommendations for headsets, go to our iTunes page, leave a 5-star review, and in the comment for the review, tell me which headset is your favorite, and I'll leave it up to you, listeners, to decide which I'm going to buy. Even if it's $500, I'll still buy it. But I'll only buy it if it's a 5-star review. So you got to leave a 5-star review and then tell me which headset to buy, and I'll go buy it, even if it's a terrible headset or crazy expensive.
All right, so I'm just going to tell you, you're actually going to the place at the end of the month to buy a headset.
You're right.
PAX.
Oh, right.
So because you're going to be able to buy, like, you'll be able to like try, like, I would tell you the best gaming headset for the console
yeah,
is the Astros.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, the most comfortable. They're terrible on my PC, or I've had terrible luck, and I only buy Logitech stuff.
Right.
But the Astros are amazing.
I think that's what I got. It was an Astro A10. It was like the Zelda edition because it was the same price as the regular.
Maybe, but like you're gonna buy like the A60s.
Yeah, like whatever the mega.
Yeah, they're like $120 or something. And
yeah, that's
awesome.
That's about my price range.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
anyway.
At. Also, I was able to, while the mega download was happening for Siege, I hopped onto Apex Legends with Al, which was I actually liked a lot. I don't typically. I mean, I like battle royales, but that's not my like favorite game style. I like this a lot. I don't like Fortnite for the record. It's just I don't like third person really.
It's not even that. It's you could be shooting at a guy and
for like forever,
and you're not even hitting him.
Right. Yeah,
but then you turn 60 degrees to the right, and now you're hitting them full on.
Yeah, it's that.
I don't like the whole like building blocks, and
it's a little wonky for me. I'm not into Fortnite. But I think the Battle Royale concept is pretty fun. I really liked the Call of Duty Black Ops, whatever number, 472 Battle Royale. That was fun.
It's because you like Call of Duty.
I do like Call of Duty. I like that gameplay style, how everything's like really crisp and moves well. I liked that a lot. But I only played the beta. I didn't buy the full game. And then, when I went to Apex, I'm like drawing on those two. And I think Apex is like a nice sort of bridge the gap between the two. There's like some sort of frivolous features in Apex, like you can call in like different abilities and stuff like that, and it's nice because you can ping items, which is nice. So you have a team of 3, and you can one of the buttons you can click will say like, hey, there's a pistol over here if you want to come grab it, and it'll pop up on your teammate's HUD, which is kind of nice. That's cool. I wish Siege would implement something like that instead of just like the point thing, but it is a lot. The mechanics of Apex are a lot more crisp, like Call of Duty, than like Fortnite, where it's all sort of loosey goosey.
But it's one death and you're done.
Right.
That's not for me.
Yeah, so that's the Battle Royale format, which like some people don't. It's definitely frustrating. It's not my preferred style, but as a Battle Royale, and it was free, so like I couldn't not try it. You know what I mean?
And that's the point. They put out a free game,
right?
And it's crushing everything right now.
Right. It's hard to beat free. Like there's no excuse. There was no excuse at all. It was like 16 gigabytes to download. It didn't take long at all. It downloaded way faster than my Siege update, obviously, because I played it. I jammed with Al for like 2 hours and I went to bed.
Yeah, the Apex Legends is great, and that brings me to the Call of Duty. Why didn't they just make the Call of Duty Battle Royale free?
They would have.
crushed it.
Yeah, I think they would have. That would have been the only battle royale if they did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think probably Activision probably was greedy.
They can't.
Yeah, they wanted to,
pay
for their product.
So I played Fortnite. I played the Call of Duty one. I haven't played Apex Legends because I can't download anything on my computer right now. I'm afraid
you could do it on your PS4 that you never use.
Fuck that. The controller's terrible.
Yeah, I know.
Like if there was a way for me to use the Xbox controller on the PlayStation, I would dominate.
Right.
And I would actually like it. But right now, the PlayStation is just a DVD player.
That's terrible. I should just buy it off you and swap with you.
Probably should.
Anyways, back at the ranch. So besides that, I'll definitely be playing more Apex. Probably not a lot, but I'll play it a few more times anyway. I'll have some more analysis about that. A couple more things I want to talk about. I just want to highlight a few things that are coming down the old podcast pipeline. Captain Marvel comes out tomorrow. Actually tonight in some places. Agawam Cinemas, but which we could have gone to, but we were recording an episode instead. But either way, we'll be seeing it this weekend or sometime soon. And
Saturday.
Probably Saturday. We're definitely doing a Captain Marvel episode in the next couple weeks. I think my sister Ari's going to be on again. Maybe Dent, a.k.a. the Masterson of movie reviews, will be on.
I messaged him. I'm hoping he can come on because, he is the Masterson of movie reviews.
He's very thorough.
That's such a great way to describe it. He's thorough when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Ari because it'll be like World War III.
Oh, dude, yeah. Because you're just pissed that it's not Marvel. It's I forgot.
Well, no, it's not. No. It's not even that. It's just we see things in different light.
Yeah, you're on like opposite ends of the political spectrum. It's great.
Yeah.
So that's coming down the pipeline. Also, one of my professors from UConn. Yes, you heard me right. One of my professors from UConn. He's a professor of physiology and neurobiology. He's coming on the show to talk about some Game of Thrones speculation and his dabbling with MMOs back in the Disney, which is like circa 2004 or something. It's like late 90s, early 2000s. He was like super into the original Warcraft and sort of got out of it right as World of Warcraft was coming around. A couple other MMOs too that I just don't remember the name of, but he was really into it all through high school and would play like for literally 10 hours a day. He was in a guild, the whole 9 yards, and then got out of it. So I'm interested to hear his comparison between old school MMOs and some of the newer stuff that's out now. Whew.
In SOTOR news, we got a message. I guess it's the new guy, Dan. He dropped a little...
Let's see, he wanted to say hello. It looks like he's the new community
coordinator,
like another team member to help Eric Musco, basically. Dan says, hello, everyone. As Musco alluded to in a post last week, I joined the team a few months ago and serve as the new community coordinator. Some of you may be now wondering if I've been here for a few months. Some of you may now be wondering if I've been here for a few months, then why am I just making myself known? Well, let's go over everything that I work on. Primarily, I handle everything involved with the articles that we create. This covers the whole process from start to finish. On top of this, I handle all the social media posts across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as the game launcher itself. Over the past few months, these were handed to me piece by piece as Musco trained me accordingly. Once I had these tasks under my belt, it was our plan to start transitioning from solely working behind the scenes to having a presence here on the general forums. So here we are. I have been reading the general feedback here, especially within the past week, and it has been received. There's a lot that can be improved upon, and I'm working to fix some of these issues. Going forward, whether there's a new article or news update, I will also create a thread in the relevant forum to spread the word of whatever the subject is, as well as a prompt discussion about it. For example, later this week, we'll be announcing the specific details involving our Community Cantina event happening around the Star Wars celebration in Chicago. At the same time as I publish the article to the site, I will then create a thread highlighting it. Also, throughout March, we will announce that we will be involved with Game Update 5.10.2 between game features and technical updates. I see. Yeah, we'll announce that we'll be involved with Game 5. Okay, the update between the features and technical updates. That sentence was a little wonky. I've also been working with Charles on something we'd like to bring back, which is which are short stories.
Which I showed you earlier what I think they're talking about.
Yes, we'll get into that as soon as I finish reading this. So now, a lot goes into the making of these. It's hard to pinpoint when the first one will be published, but it's safe. It's a safe bet to say that it'll be sometime this spring. That's pretty cool. Another strong sentiment that I've noted here is the lack of a roadmap. Unfortunately, while that falls outside of my scope, in the spring/summer, I would like to build a web content roadmap. This will list all of the planned articles, including update announcements. This wouldn't have a hard date, but they would all be narrowed down to approximate months. For example, the game update 5.10.2 news would be listed as coming in the first half of March in a model like this. I've been working a lot behind the scenes to lay down the groundwork for this upcoming year, and the fruits of that will start to bear in the upcoming months. Hopefully, this post will be able to shed some light on the path we're taking with 2019. Sincerely, Daniel Steed, Community Coordinator.
I talked to him.
You did?
Yeah. And
I was not included in the secret meeting, folks.
Whatever.
I got betrayed.
Yeah, so you don't know the power of the light side, bro.
There is no peace is a lie.
Anyway, I talked to him. We're working on something special with BioWare. More news to come. Anyways, this week there's a collection sale.
So in case
you haven't logged in, this week it's half price collections unlocks for your weapons, tunings, platinum and gold, silvers, bronze, promotional items. So if you want to unlock your shit all over your characters, all over the place, do that. So we also had an update on March 6th, which is yesterday. It was back-end stuff, and they were fixing more bugs, which, holy shit, they need to fix some stuff, man. It's, they say that Anthem isn't, affecting SOTOR, but fuck.
It seems like it is.
Oh, dude, it has to be.
Yeah, because there's a lot of bugs.
Well, there's a lot of bugs in Anthem and a lot of bugs in SOTOR, and yeah. Anyway, in Guild news, Friday, March 15th, which is next Friday. Sorry for the late delay. Our March is getting really packed with packs coming up. Yes. So next Friday, March 15th, we're going to host our next mega event. We're going to do another PvP night, but this time we're going to be going to all the PvP maps, and we're going to all kill Nax. So if that sounds fun to you, you should come and do it. This time we're going to be on the pub side. It's so that B. Kavanaugh and Zen don't have a heart attack and kill me that I ignore the pub side.
And if all this sounds fun to you, go to aie-guild.org and get our Discord info and jump into the SOTOR channel and ask for a guild invite. An officer will get you in, and you can come play with me. You can play with Marcus. You can come play with all of the cool AIE guildies, and we'd love to have you. So, as per usual, I
know you do.
I always do.
All right.
So we'll be right back. And we're back. So today we're discussing the entire Star Wars franchise, where it came from, where it is now, where it might be going, our thoughts, our discussions, our analysis of the whole thing. So for starters, when you think of Star Wars, what's the first thing you think of? Go. Either Marcus or Sam, doesn't matter.
R2-D2.
Wow. Sam, how
X-Wings.
I immediately think of lightsabers, personally.
They're all really good answers.
These are all iconic images that you associate with Star Wars.
So I guess where we can start is, okay, so in 1977, Star Wars came out, and it was in like 10 theaters in the whole country.
Right.
Like people were like, yeah, this thing's stupid.
Right.
And it took the world on, and it never slowed down.
That's so crazy that it built up. Like, oh my God, did you see that? And then more theaters got it, and more theaters got it, and more theaters
Don't forget, back then there were only so many theaters, and there were only one screen.
Right.
So are they going to take the new Buck Rogers movie or some bullshit Star Wars movie?
Right. Yeah.
And then there was no VHS. So once it was gone from the theater, it was gone forever.
Oh, that's a good point.
There was no nothing.
Right. There's not. You can go back and see it. That's got to be a big factor for you got to see this.
Right.
Sam, what do you think?
The funny thing is you guys have talked about the amazing hurdles Star Wars had to achieve by being this obscure film by a indie filmmaker from San Francisco, the San Francisco area, to a global phenomenon. Half of the fascinating story is the fact that it was ever made.
Right.
The problems that Star Wars went through, A New Hope, I'm referring to, when it was simply called The Star Wars, were numerous and borderline insurmountable. Like, they had budget issues constantly. Lucas, he founded, it's funny, we take all these things for granted that are now staples of the film industry. THX, Industrial Light and Magic, and a lot of these special effects that we now know and accept as standard were pioneering things by George and his teams. So they were so behind on everything. Like, they were really trying to, I think how they basically did the frame by frame to move the ships was they built all the computing for that. They designed the entire thing. So the fact that the first movie ever happened is a miracle. Two, there are so many people behind the scenes who, really, I don't want to say don't get their fair shake. Like, George Lucas obviously crafted this interesting story.
But he didn't make it. So
No.
There was the writer, Paul, I think his name's Paul. There's a Paul, there was a guy who rewrote the script. He's the one who made the magic happen.
There's a couple script doctors that were a part of that I'm trying to remember. Yes.
Yeah. So I read a book or did the Audible version of how Star Wars conquered the world or something like that.
The galaxy. Yes. I was just about to say that. I love that book.
Well, actually, I believe it or not, I'd never heard of it until I listened to your show and you guys started talking about it. I'm like, huh. And then I looked it up and it was 20 hours long. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be great. I'm in the shop for the next 2 weeks so I can listen to that because, I get millions of phone calls all day. But anyway, you're right about the release of it and the hurdles that he had to go through to make it happen. But for me, the most magical part of it is everything was new. And
you have a whole universe.
Right. And when it came out, he had a bigger picture of other movies, but, he was smart. Lucas knew that he was going to make Empire and he knew Return of the Jedi was going to happen because when he made the deal, he told Fox, if I don't make a sequel within 2 years or start filming the sequel and within 2 years, you have the rights to it. And they were like, deal. Let's do this. And still to this day, nobody has ever screwed a studio the way Lucas did when it came to that and the merchandise.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the merchandise. Oh my goodness. He had them hand over fist with that.
Right.
So,
Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, nobody got merchandising deals.
Right.
Yeah. It was all like, you're getting paid for this movie and
that's it.
Here's your bullshit royalties and see you later.
Right.
And it's the biggest movie ever.
Yeah. And another person who I think goes vastly uncredited for the immense impact that they had on the film was George Lucas's first wife, Marsha Lucas. She was an editor. And, it's amazing. I love doing filmmaking myself, both behind the camera and behind the computer. And editing has such an immense impact on the flow and the telling of a story. So Marsha got an Academy Award for the work she did. I'm pretty sure it was an Academy Award. And she may have been one of the biggest things to save that film because obviously you see modern blockbusters today that have visual effects far beyond Star Wars now, obviously.
Right.
But crafting a story is still, at the end of the day, what people come to see and what sticks with them and what makes them want to come back again and again and again. So it's amazing to understand how the planets truly aligned for this to happen. Because there are so many reasons why we shouldn't be talking about Star Wars today that all the things they had to overcome to just get to this point. So it's fascinating just to learn the history about how they made that film, let alone all the problems that they had with future films.
Right. I was just going to say, it's an interesting point to really highlight all the I'll call them the supporting cast around George Lucas to make that first film, because I don't know a whole lot about the development of the prequels, but my understanding is that a lot of it was just George Lucas with the prequels. Now was just George Lucas.
It was only him
running the show, and like, okay, you have control of, the storyline and maybe not literally editing and stuff like that, but
Lucas did it all for the prequels.
That's what I thought. Yes. And it's fairly evident that at least the first two are much inferior movies. So,
no just fucking way.
I mean, I like the story in them, but I don't think they flow nearly as well as the original trilogy, or particularly A New Hope does.
I like the prequels better than I like The Last Jedi. And it's not because I saw them as a kid in the theater.
Right.
It's because, for me, the prequels are still Star Wars to me.
Yeah,
The Last Jedi is more like Final Fantasy 14 in a Star Wars world.
Yeah.
Well, we're hitting a lot of different topics that I'd love to keep talking about. So I guess the first thing I want to jump in on is...
That's like the sequel. The prequels part, I should say.
Well, like with the prequels, I imagine, especially the teams working around George Lucas, especially for Star Wars, the first one, Lucas was a joke. He was some weird indie filmmaker who really was kind of awkward and dorky, and the crew thought they were making some joke film. Now you're talking about the prequels. This is the legendary George Lucas.
Well, yeah, so I'm just going back. I got to just say it. So you were right about when they were making the film. I remember hearing
A New Hope you're talking about.
A New Hope. He would show up to Industrial Light and Magic, and the guys were just sitting around smoking weed.
Yeah.
Like, just taking their time. And he's like, guys, we can't waste any more time on this. This fucking movie needs to be done.
Right.
And they were like, we're going to get there, man. Just relax, dude. And
he's like, chill out, dork.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, the hurdles, you're right. The hurdles that they jump through to make it happen is amazing. And so my original trilogy, I bought it, I guess, in the right year of the DVDs where it had the original theatrical version of it.
Oh, nice. Without the crappy CGI?
Without anything.
Nice.
It was just basic. So I watched that. That's what my daughter watched for the first time.
Yeah, that's great.
See, you say that, but they all have subtle nuances between them. Of course, we're not talking about the special editions that were the Blu-ray set that had enormous changes, but each one all had subtle changes because George Lucas doesn't know when to stop.
Well, no, of course. But, it's because it's another DVD sale, right? Every time he updates something, hey, we're coming out with a new special edition.
Right.
But what I'm saying is it had a version. It has a version of the original 1977 movie, no alterations.
Wow.
So you can buy the DVD on Amazon right now for like $60.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to watch it with nothing.
Yeah.
Because you can tell it's dark, it's grainy.
Yeah.
It's dirty. Like, you can tell that, like, you're
it's
like
1977.
Yeah,
film.
you're like,
yeah,
man, they did this in 1977. If I was old enough to see this in the theater in 77, it would be like
incredible.
It would be like the first time you watch or sign into a video game where the graphics are so beautiful you stop.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. Like, the time it takes to do this. And that's how it makes me feel.
Yeah.
For 77.
Right.
1977.
I that's what my dad is old enough to know that. I think he graduated in 1977 from high school. He's an old fart now, but he he was telling me everyone, had to go see Star Wars. In that first shot, I think it's A New Hope, where the Imperial
Star Destroyer,
thank you. Comes from over the top, right? That first scene, he's like, I literally sunk into my chair because the ship felt so big. I was trying to get away from it on the screen. Like, it's just, that whole experience must have been unbelievable for people back then.
And we'll never experience something like that.
No, never ever. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
No,
so
one thing that...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I cut you off. It was like one other thing that I think that was interesting about how Lucas was able to weave. Obviously, the visual effects were something that grabbed audiences, but I think one thing that's also overlooked is how these stories of Star Wars, especially, it's very much opera and fantasy, and it's stories that I feel like have been told over time in many different ways, and that's why it just latches on to people so quickly. Is there are so many things about Luke Skywalker that are similar to King Arthur per se, or I can't remember the exact name. I think it's the Seven Samurai films. Like there are so many. Yeah. Like he just did such a good job taking parts of our storytelling literature of all time and remix them into this, and I think that's why obviously the visuals are amazing,
right?
And Star Wars has never been known for having amazing acting moments, but the story is something that intrinsically we all just latch on to, and I think it's just because they're these stories that have been told through time. So I think Star Wars is very successful at that, and is truly our modern version of it.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely, especially in A New Hope like that. There's a lot of parallels to just classic heroic story archetypes.
Right, and then you move. So Star Wars was a complete movie.
Right.
Start to finish, it was complete.
Yeah.
It's the only one. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because he didn't know if it was going to work or not, so he had to make a complete movie.
Right.
Then he brought Empire into it.
Knowing there's going to be Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Yeah.
But he brought Empire, and, there was a lot of parts where I fast forwarded with my 3-year-old, right?
Right. In
because
Empire,
that movie's dark.
It's real dark.
It's really dark. And even today, I'm looking at it through myself, my own eyes, and then my 3-year-old's eyes. And I'm like, I can't let her watch this. Right. And I'm fast forwarding through thinking to myself, A New Hope, she watched the whole thing except the Wampa.
Right.
And the bar scene.
Right.
Right?
Wait,
where
Obi-Wan chops her arms off.
Old Ben Kenobi chops off his arm because he's not Obi-Wan at that point yet.
Oh, right. He's just, good old Ben Kenobi.
Good old Ben Kenobi.
Right.
But of course I know him. He's me.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a good impression.
Yeah.
I have fun with impressions.
All right.
Bring them out whenever you feel like.
So my point is, Empire just took the world by storm because I can't even remember, still to this day, when was the last time you watched a movie that the bad guys win? You leave the theater and the bad guys are winning.
Yeah, I guess Rogue One, but that doesn't really count. You know what I mean?
No, we won in Rogue One. We got the Death Star.
We got the Death Star plan, so that doesn't count. I have no idea. I can't. I've never seen a movie where the bad guys win. Not recently, anyway.
Or any movie. I can't even think of one.
Yeah, besides
like Infinity War.
Huh?
Infinity War?
Oh, okay, Infinity War. Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Okay,
thanks, Sam.
Well, yeah, no, but that's a great. I'm thinking back, like even Lord of the Rings. At the end of every Lord of the Rings episode, they're winning.
Right.
Except you see Schmeagol like running away with the ring, and he's following them. And
I can tell you don't watch Lord of the Rings. You haven't seen it very often. Schmeagol! But wait a minute. So that's a good point, Sam. Infinity War. They made Infinity War knowing it was going to be a 2-parter.
Correct.
And you could same deal with George Lucas making Empire Strikes Back. Yes. He knew he let the bad guys win because he knew it was going to get resolved in Return of the Jedi. That's a great point.
Right.
That's a really cool parallel, actually.
But it's because they knew.
Right.
But anything else, there's no other movie that has ever had the dark side win or the bad guys.
Right.
And that's what makes it so special for the whole movie and how it evolves. And if you look at the character development through the first one, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher look like different people from A New Hope to Empire.
Yeah,
they're like grown-ups. Right. They went from like babies
to
adults.
Yeah, like their faces totally changed.
Completely different people.
Right.
I mean, Irving Kershner was the one who directed Empire Strikes Back. And I mean, I know he was someone who was very focused on character development. Lucas was, again, spectacle and the visual power and the overall story. And like, it was the hero's journey. The story is very, I don't want to say typical, but we all know it, where Empire was this chance to go. Yeah, so that works. And so especially, I know Irving Kershner worked a lot with them to explore their characters and let them go deeper into who they were. So that's why it's also such a successful film, is you get the great hero's introduction, and then you get to see your heroes struggle, which is such a successful film.
Right. Then on to, go ahead, Marcus.
No, I was just going to say, speaking of the hero's journey, a friend of mine, Doc, he's a professor and he loves Star Wars, and he did the hero's journey but converted it to like counseling, because like shrink counseling, his classes, and he made like the whole hero's journey, but about counseling and like how you start in the beginning of like it's called undergrad.
Yeah, undergrad. That's what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and then you go all the way around to like the master's and your doctorate, and it's the hero's journey. It was a pretty cool slide, and hearing you say that
it reminds you of it.
Yeah, but bringing Empire to the end, where Luke and Leia and the droids are standing in front of the window, and Chewie and Lando are flying away. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is how they're ending it? Like, right. What's going to happen now?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Han's in freaking carbonite,
right? But that was the magic back then,
right?
But I
don't imagine waiting years to see the next movie after that. I'd be like, "Are you kidding me?"
Right?
And Luke lost his hand, the whole thing,
and there's no VHS tapes yet.
Right.
So maybe there was in 1980.
Right. Well, wait a minute. And in that movie, there was the whole keeping that Darth Vader is Luke's father a secret. Nobody knew that the whole time. They think he's a big bad guy.
Yeah.
And Luke's parents are just mysteriously gone, which that's another piece of the archetype hero story.
Right.
But yeah, even I think I forgot the fellow's name that played Darth Vader. He was the actual actor in the suit. He said a different line to Mark Hamill when they shot it.
He said Obi-Wan killed your father.
Right. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, Obi-Wan killed your father, and then later when they dubbed it with James Earl Jones, he said, "Luke, I'm your father."
I am your father.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think it's one of those. What do they call it? The Mandela effect, where the line is something different than you think it is. Like everyone says it's Luke, I am your father. I don't think that's the line. I think it's no, I'm your father or something like that.
Yeah, it is. I think that's what you said it correctly.
Yeah. Anyways.
But, as we've gone off on this breakdown each of the original movies tangent, the point is what Star Wars did for the world. It changed the way everybody does film.
Right.
Completely.
Yeah.
Everything.
They put a big. I don't know if. Well, I guess the visual, the spectacle was always a thing that in films, but I think Star Wars really took it to the next level, saying, "Hey, look, technology's coming around. Like you can really use this to pump up our films." Yeah.
And you even compare just the advancement of the technology within Star Wars. Watch the trench run versus the Battle of Endor. It's still leaps and bounds even within the films themselves.
Right, 100%.
And just speaking of the visuals, what they did, if you look at the three movies, they picked the three worst climates to film in.
Right.
A desert and space.
Yeah.
Then Hoth.
Right.
I mean, fuck. Like if you watch those Imperial walkers and stuff, and then Endor, where now you're in woods and they're doing it was mind-blowing for me, even now. And I can't tell you, Sam, I know you and Zach, you guys watch all of these movies all the time. And like you guys have these like binge sessions. Right? Yeah. But I haven't watched the original trilogy in succession like this.
Yeah.
I don't need years.
And I haven't done that in a long time either.
I highly recommend it.
Yes. Yeah, after this, Nick, I'll give you them.
Yeah, because I have them actually.
All right. So unbelievable. Like it's so brings you back to being like, holy cow.
I love Star Wars. Yeah.
Right. I love Star Wars. Like this is why I love Star Wars.
Oh, I have a good point for the end of this.
But anyway, so we've talked about these movies, the originals.
Yeah.
But now fast forward to 2019.
Yeah.
Where are we in the Star Wars universe? And let me put a setting in. In 1983, when it ended, you couldn't go to the store and buy every single you close your eyes and think of a Star Wars t-shirt and it's for sale.
Right.
There was merchandise, but there were action figures.
Right. And that's about it.
Now you can get a full replica lightsaber.
Right.
You know what I mean? And take pictures of it while you're on a cruise ship and have a podcast and call it the Scarif edition. You know what I mean?
Who would do that? Who would do that?
Episode 6. But anyway, my point is, so now we fast forward to us now, and Disney owns it. We've gotten the prequels in the 90s and the early 2000s, where, for the record, all of you fanboy haters, when the prequels came out, you wanted to kill George Lucas.
Right.
Disney comes out with new movies, and now you want to kill Disney, and you're saying bring back George Lucas. Right. Make up your mind, people.
Oh, that just drives me crazy when people talk about that.
All right, that was just my
sidebar.
Sidebar. So I guess I'll start with you and ask. Sorry, Sam. I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Where do you think Star Wars is now in comparison to where it was in 77? Do you think it's bigger?
Or
do you think it's
you mean?
Or in 1983, right?
Sure.
Do you think it's bigger? Do you think we're the same? Or do you think it's less than what it was?
I mean, not only do I think it's bigger, I think we've only just begun. I mean, seriously, the horizon for Star Wars is about to explode and expand in a way that we've never been able to quite comprehend. I mean, we used to be in a place where Star Wars movies, first when I was, a kid, we just had them as, movies and games. Then we had the prequels come out, and then we knew they would end, they'd be over. We were lucky enough to be able to have the Clone Wars series to hold us over and more games. Disney doesn't do anything to not make money off of it. And they have put all their chips on the table with this. Now, obviously, they're still trying to, I don't want to say find their way, but find what works. But I don't think we're going to not be seeing Star Wars for a long time. I mean, off the top of my head, you have Clone Wars Season 7 coming out this year. You have Star Wars The Mandalorian, which is by, it's headed by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, which I'm super excited for. Then you're going to have Episode 9. Star Wars Resistance is on right now. There's a Cassian Andor series in the works. There is strong rumors that we're going to have a Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series bringing back Ewan McGregor.
That'll be huge.
There's supposed to be the Rian Johnson trilogy.
Right.
There's so much that's coming just in that medium, let alone the Renaissance and all the books that we've been having coming out. Obviously, there are places where I think Disney is failing. I'm not saying they're infallible. We could go on all night talking about the disgrace that EA has done to the Star Wars universe. And, I think the Battlefront games were pretty. I think the story with Iden Versio is great, but that doesn't compromise the fact that they've done a very subpar job with it. So as far as a direction, I think the future is bright, but I think, especially as Star Wars fans, we all have different things that we want out of it, and not everyone has gotten their fair share. My co-host, Zach Chrisman, we like to call him the Lord of Lore, because this guy, every episode, will say, I just need more lore. I need more story and more build. And I think he's right. And I think there's been an absolute lack of any Sith Jedi Force in any of the Star Wars medium. I think we've gotten some great Star Wars. The war aspect, I think they're doing great and nailing it. And I think that the Star Wars TV series style thing is going to take off and explode.
Well, Disney Go is coming, man. Every single parent in the whole world. When Disney Go comes, there's going to be no need for cable TV, because every piece of content in my house will be on that streaming service.
Right.
Marvel, Star Wars, and all the kid shows. Not going to have any use for anything else.
That's true.
And it'll have all of the ABC shows like The Bachelor that my wife is in love with. So,
and ESPN.
So why are you going to need anything else? That is going to be cable TV.
And you're talking about your kids. Well, guess what? They've just built two of the most technologically advanced, big, in-your-face, awesome additions to both their Disney World and Disneyland parks that are going to blow your mind as a Star Wars fan.
And announced today, it's opening August 29th at Disney World. Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Oh my!
So that's what I mean. They are all in. This is not something where they're not like, it's not working out. Some people didn't like Last Jedi. This is not them just kind of trying this out. No, this is something where Star Wars is here and Star Wars is here to stay. It's just that we are still in a painful transition process where they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with a lot of the legacy and legend material that has attracted so many fans in the past. They don't want to lose those people. They want their money. Right. So that's what makes it so interesting about the Old Republic that we were talking about, is what they're going to do with things like that.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to where you mentioned EA. Okay.
Yeah. And I do want to make a point about where it is now at some point.
No, please. I want you to. I'm just going to
sidebar? Or do you want to go after it?
No, I'm going to go after it. I'm defending EA.
Okay, sure.
With Star Wars right now.
EA. All right, so Battlefront
EA,
games, you mean?
Yep, all of it.
Okay.
So don't forget, EA has to pay a licensing fee to Disney. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when they bought into the franchise, they had to pay George Lucas. So it's like when you're renting an apartment and Nick owns the apartment building and Nick sells that apartment building to Marcus.
Right.
And, oh, hey, everybody, you're paying X amount of dollars a month. I'm going up $100. You don't like it? Leave.
Right.
Instantly. So who's to say when Disney bought the deal, that contract wasn't adjusted? In Disney said, hey, EA, we want an extra $1 million a year. And so now
EA's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So, and you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So maybe EA, and as much as I'm against the loot boxes,
we did do a whole episode on that.
But has anybody, and I'm sidebarring how bad I felt about the loot boxes then, because I do agree pay to win is terrible.
Yeah.
Has anybody played a mobile game?
Yeah, it's all loot boxes.
It's all loot boxes. And it's all pay to win. And they're making billions of dollars on these mobile games.
Right.
We need to stop bitching about loot boxes
in AAA games.
Because they're going to stop coming. Sidebar there. But EA, yes, they're shady. But who's to say that this isn't Disney? And the only reason why I say this is because there was a Star Wars fan film that came out. Star Wars Theory. He's a YouTuber. Okay. He made that Vader. Have you seen it? The Vader, I don't know what it was called. Vader, Past Memories or something. It was episode 1.
Okay.
So the guy contacted Lucasfilm and said, hey, I'm making this fan film. It's going to cost about $150,000 to make.
Yeah.
Can I make it? They said, you can make it, but you cannot monetize it. There will be no monetization to this movie.
Okay, yeah, put it on YouTube and you get zero from the revenue.
If there's not going to be any ads because you cannot monetize it.
Okay.
Within 2 days, it had 6 billion views or 6 million views.
Okay, yeah.
Disney stepped in and copyrighted it and said, you stole our thing. There's a piece of the Imperial March in it. He hired his own orchestra to make it. Okay?
Yeah.
Make it. But there was a small part that was a replica of the Imperial March.
Yeah.
Disney flagged this and said, we own this now. This is our copyright. We're going to monetize it. In 3 days, he would have made $88,000 in ad revenue.
Yeah.
That's insane. This guy would have been okay for the rest of his life just from that one film.
Right.
So Disney took it over. And this is where I'm defending EA. Disney is greedy. And he fought, and Lucasfilm actually, and this is where Lucasfilm and Disney, I think, are the same, but they're a little separate.
Right.
Lucasfilm stepped in and said, no, Disney. Tell your lawyers to back off. We told this guy he could do it. Take your fucking ads off this video. But it was scary for the guy. They were threatening about taking down his webpage.
Right.
This is his income.
Right.
Over $88,000.
Right. And what the hell is that? To Disney is nothing. Yeah.
Right. They're making $88,000 an hour off selling a bottle of water at their theme parks.
Right.
Right.
Basically,
or cleaning up the boogers that kids pick and wipe it on their flagpoles. Right.
Right.
All I'm trying to say is, I think this is more Disney stepping in and charging
EA more. EA going, oh shit, we need to make more money somehow. I guess throw this in there.
And here's the other thing is,
that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
How many years ago was the Xbox 360 out?
A lot. I don't know.
Why are games still $60? They clearly cost more to make.
That's true.
Okay.
True.
Now EA is like, okay, we're putting out this beautiful game because let me tell you, I played it.
Yeah,
Battlefront 2 is beautiful.
Yeah, Sam said that just now.
Yeah. But why shouldn't they be able to? I understand pay to win. I'm not arguing that. Pay to win is not right.
Right.
But why shouldn't they be able to put a loot box to try to make some extra money? Because they're only getting $60 a game,
right?
Which probably that game costs $60 a copy to make.
Right. Yeah.
So is it Disney that's doing this, or is it EA? Where is the problems?
Right. Where's the real source of the problems?
Right.
I mean, one other concerning thing to add on to that is the only other problem is, let alone where I agree, Disney, a part of the reason they are the empire that they are is because of tactics and practices like that. But Bob Iger, who is in charge of Disney right now, he flat out said in a conference that he's like, hey, we don't do video games. We don't know them. Like, I feel like there's definitely a discrepancy of like, they don't get how things work, but they still want it the way they want it. So like they won't give a break to them to try and make this work, but they're going to double down on how critical they're being.
But I think that's just smoke. I understand corporate world, and like I have a business and I get it. It's, to me, that's such bullshit. How can
as that big of a company can you not hire an analyst that knows the video game industry?
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. They're trying to keep EA happy because they know right now EA is the only one that can produce a Star Wars game for 10 years.
Right.
They can't sell it to Activision, and EA was probably like, fuck you, watch, we cancel the game. And Disney was probably like, oh my God, what did we do?
Right.
What did we do? And they're freaking out. And now,
you're talking about that other.
It was like going to be like the Uncharted. It was
a Mandalorian based one, or Boba Fett. No,
that was level 13. 13 was the Mandalorian 13. One, but you're referring to I can't even remember the name. I think it was called like Star Wars Bandit or something.
Yeah, it was basically the people who made Dead Space, Visceral Games, it was their game.
Okay.
And the head of the Uncharted series, she was the head of that studio. But it doesn't matter. All I'm trying to say is I don't think it's all EA's fault. Everybody blames EA because you don't want to blame Disney because of Mickey Mouse, right? It makes you think.
Hi, kids, come on, let's go play the Star Wars game.
Yeah, exactly. Disney owns everything.
Yeah.
Every piece of content we consume, Disney owns.
Basically, yeah.
Everything.
Right.
They are the emperor.
Right.
Mickey Mouse is Darth Vader.
That's with a squeaky voice. Right.
But Nick, I've been dying to ask you this. Where do you think Star Wars is right now?
So the comparison I was coming up with when Sam was talking about it was, so you mentioned this really rich story and rich lore basis from the original trilogy and then the prequels, and you have this giant enriched universe that you're going with. That you have, and I think as Star Wars has gotten bigger and bigger, it's almost like sort of having I'll make an analogy to like whiskey, right? You have this really super awesome, 40-year-old Scotch or something, right? Something crazy, like ridiculous,
and it tastes like shit.
Well, I like it. Thank you very much. Marcus hates it, but you can only have one glass. You know what I mean? So there's only so much content you can have, and you're trying to get this to more people, and it only goes so far. Each person gets a little drop or whatever. They only go see it in the movie theaters once in 1977, and as it grows bigger and bigger, you have to add some water to it because you're just trying to get that volume bigger, and it's still good, but it's not quite the same. It's still whiskey, but it's not how the 40 crazy year old one from before.
Yes.
And that's not a perfect analogy, but it's kind of how I see it. Like Star Wars is still good. Like I still like things from that universe, but like The Last Jedi I didn't love. I liked it, but I didn't love it. You know what I mean? And I think seeing Star Wars everywhere, it's like I like it because I like the universe. I like the lore. I like I like everything Star Wars, but seeing it everywhere, having going into any retail store and being able to find a Star Wars shirt of some kind, sort of cheapens the coolness of it, or the richness of the content, I guess I could say.
And so you have Star Wars fatigue.
I think people are getting burnt out, and I don't know that that's necessarily going to be a long-term issue, because I think Star Wars is becoming, like Sam was also mentioning in the sort of the back half of your sort of analysis there, that it's going to be, you're going to have a miniseries. You're gonna have several movies. You're gonna have a whole new trilogy from
Rian Johnson.
Thank you, Rian Johnson. You're gonna have all this extra content. It's gonna end up. You have this sort of cheapening effect happening right now because it's expanding so fast. Because Disney bought it. And I think you had a bit of a cheapening effect happening when the prequels came out. You had like that new resurgence. And now we're getting another wave of that again. Now that Disney's bought it, you're having the new sequel trilogy come out, and the new wave of merchandise and sort of pushing Star Wars product everywhere. I think that's going to settle, and you're going to have sort of like people getting used to Star Wars being a big brand all around them all the time, like a Coca-Cola type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Now they're going to see, okay, this is what it is, and now I can appreciate it for what it is. And you're going to start getting more enriching products within subdivisions. Like you can have somebody really like the miniseries focusing on Obi-Wan Kenobi can be really, really good or something, because now it's just expanded, and it's not just Disney allocating like X amount of money. It's you can have that division have a lot of money and really do it right, like an HBO show or something like that. Because you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. To go further off your alcoholic analogy. Yeah. I will take it one step further. You're saying that this product is being essentially distilled. I think that this is something where they're still getting their new whole wing of their distillery built, and people aren't satisfied that they're getting maybe some sawdust in their drink.
I think another analogy might be apt is, people across the country might not know, but Treehouse Brewing Company, it's a big beer company near us, not big, but a very popular one, and they were a really tiny shop that was only like the size of a house, and they just recently expanded like a year or two ago into a giant place that can sell beer by the case now. And in between, there was sort of this, they haven't really nailed the mass scale yet. You know what I mean? It's just similar to what you're saying.
I think that they just need to settle in still. This is something that is a long vision, and the right people still need to find the right place. I think the biggest name of all this, where he is truly the second coming of George Lucas, is Dave Filoni. I don't think there's anyone out there in the Star Wars universe that gets the feel, the story, and the meaning of Star Wars better than Dave Filoni. And he's now getting to be having his hands in a Mandalorian, and I can't wait to see his touch on a live action series. But again, back to food and drinks. I feel like some people call this a oversaturation. Now, there are crazy people like me who I want it all. I want to have everything on the menu. I want to try it all. And people go, oh, why? They go to their favorite restaurant and now they're offering vegetarian options or vegan options, and they get all huffy and puffy because like, I don't want this on my menu. Blah, blah, blah. It's like you don't have to eat that. Right. Star Wars Resistance is, people call it kiddie. Well, yeah, it's meant for your kids. That's the point. I think that things like Mandalorian, especially this, I think Mandalorian I might be more excited for than Episode 9, are going to satisfy some people who feel like they aren't getting the Star Wars they quite remember or think that they know. And everyone's biased. There are all these people coming out of the woodworks who are now declaring, now granted I'm one of them, that the prequels are great films and should be respected. Give it 15 years or 20 years, we're going to have that same thing happen with the sequel films. All these people who hate on The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, there's going to be a bunch of kids right there out now watching these films. They're going to say, Rey was my hero. I loved Poe Dameron. I watched him in Star Wars Resistance, and then he was on the big screen. So this is, I just feel like the life of Star Wars and how it's been able to survive in our culture is the fact that it does kind of have to reinvent itself and grow into something different. It makes us uncomfortable because people who grew up with the original trilogy go, this isn't the Star Wars I remember. And they're right, because it isn't the Star Wars they remember. If they kept making the Star Wars that they had, it would be boring and not original.
I agree, but I think the real problem right now with Star Wars is the one thing every single person wants, they're not giving them. Right. I think where Disney, in my opinion, has, I don't want to say messed up, because that's, I think they've done well with what they've had, but the big thing for me is people want lightsabers. And it's this whole sequel trilogy has been about one lightsaber.
Right.
And that's not like, if you listen to or you read the Legends books, it was exciting because there was a whole new group of Jedi, and Mara Jade was evil and then she turned great, and all these awesome stories. And this is where I might be different, and this is where Disney changed everything. But the next trilogy has to bring back Jedi versus Sith. So whether it's 35 or 100 years from now, and it was from Rey creating the Jedi, and then Sith broke off, and now it's like the old Republic, but it's the new Republic, or they're going to have to go back and give us the Revan story.
Right.
It's got to be one or the other, because in my opinion, you can't continue down the path of no lightsabers.
That's a good point.
And I agree. I'm not arguing with you on that fact. I want more lightsabers.
Yeah. Well, everybody does. And with the new movie coming out, the whole movie, episode 1, up until, episode 8, has been about Anakin.
Right.
So it has to end with Anakin. Somehow, some way, Anakin has to be there.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Because now it completes the saga, and Rian Johnson is going to start something new.
Right.
Because everybody, Solo was a good movie. It was fun. I saw it when it came out. But
me too.
It was 4 months after the last movie came out.
Right. It was
if they did it a year after, it would have done a lot different.
Okay, I do agree to that, but it also was a marketing disaster that Disney did on their own part. So that
it was
hand in hand.
It was 4 months. You can't.
And they put it up against Avengers, right after that. So you couldn't have the same product out there.
Right.
And so it's like, I fully agree. A year later, that film would have done great. But they also did not help Solo out at all with any form of marketing. Half of the people I talked to said, wait, a new Star Wars movie came out? So I feel like I will agree. 4 months was too soon for Star Wars in the movie theater, but they didn't help themselves out with that.
Right.
In my opinion.
Okay.
I think one more thing.
Go.
I just think you did a nice job of articulating a point that I was sort of floundering to make, in that Disney isn't quite putting out product that everybody really enjoys. You know what I'm saying? Or I think Marcus hit on this too. Like, in the past, Star Wars movies coming out have been events that everybody needs to go see. You know what I mean? Like, my dad, who's a casual Star Wars fan, will go see every single prequel. We'll go see every single Star Wars episode installment because I got to drag him there. You know what I mean?
Did, though.
And we did.
Remember when they said we're re-releasing all of the movies in the prequels in the theater?
Yeah.
And then they stopped after the Phantom Menace?
Right.
But we were there to see the Phantom Menace again in the theater.
Right. So I think the general public has this idea that's dwindling of, I need to see every piece of Star Wars content because it's important. It's just a piece of pop culture. Everybody's going to go see it. You need to go see it. And I think this transition is now happening where with Star Wars, some of the cartoons coming out and this branching off effect where the general public doesn't need to see every single piece of Star Wars media that they're going to put out. It's going to become more tailored to different sections of the
kids,
population.
Teenagers, adults.
Right.
Like The Mandalorian is going to be towards adults.
Right. So I think, maybe the sequels, it took a little bit of a misstep in that they're not for the whole general public or something like that. But I think this expansion that you were talking about is good in that it's diversifying and sort of going down these not niche, but like, branching pathways. Like, you have stuff for kids, you have the side movies, so to speak, with, Rogue One and Solo and The Mandalorian coming out, into that type of stuff. I think it's a good thing overall, but I think there's some growing pains in that transition period when people are like, oh, am I supposed to go see all this content? And then they're frustrated when it's not really tailored for them, if that makes any sense. So,
okay, so real quick.
Yeah.
I guess my question to you, Sam, to go with is, where do you want to see the Star Wars franchise go in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, I want to see Star Wars settle in and just be allowed to, I don't want to say be able to try new things without scrutiny, because what I do applaud about The Last Jedi is it took chances. And a critique I have of The Force Awakens, despite it being a good film and having fun visuals and great new characters, is that I understand echoes and how you're supposed to bring a story around. But it was just about 10% to 20% too much like A New Hope.
Yeah.
Where The Last Jedi at least tried in some ways to be its own film. And again, in some ways, it was still a little too much like Empire. So I guess I want Star Wars to be able to go boldly forward, because there's a lot of fans who they want their thing only. Oh, I want to talk more about the prequels. I want to talk more about the original trilogy. I want more about the Sith and Jedi. I want more of Rebels versus Empire. There are so many avenues of Star Wars that are great and fun, and that's what makes Star Wars great and fun. So I guess I want people to allow these different versions of Star Wars to grow. So I hope the new trilogies that they're going to come out with Rian Johnson and Benioff and Weiss can go good. I really, really hope that Benioff and Weiss can adapt something like Bane. I think they'd be perfect for it. I would love if they did a Bane trilogy, and I think they're the perfect guys to do it. Can you imagine that?
Oh my God. Wait, Benioff and Weiss, for those of you who don't know, are the showrunners for Game of Thrones. That would be incredible if they took over Bane, like the Bane trilogy of books, even if you just cover that storyline. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. That's another thing, too. There are so many thoughts I'm having right now. I also don't want Disney to be afraid to embrace legend material that works. And I think this is something that they're coming around on. I think when Disney took over, they felt that they had to make everything new and their own, and it couldn't be anything the same. So there's no reason they can't take things that work and bring them in. They did that with Thrawn, and Thrawn, I think, was very successful. Some people didn't like it because they remembered the Thrawn books. They're iconic because, those were the Heir to the Empire was like the first big thing that we got after Return of the Jedi. So I just want Disney to be able to take this franchise and allow it to go forward. And both, I think I'm contradicting myself. I want them to appease the fans, but also surprise us. And that's what I hope for.
Sort of like, use the great lore universe you have, but don't feel the need to constantly structure your stuff around your new material around your old material. If that makes sense.
And there's already a great, perfect example of how this has proven to be successful in the Marvel universe. Right. They have these comics, they're taking bits and pieces, and they're saying, this works, let's put them together. Right. So take Bane, take Revan, take things that work. Excuse me, Plagueis. Can I get Plagueis approved as canon now?
Please.
Well, I listened to the Plagueis book. The best part about that book was, towards the end, where then you realize that it happens right before episode 1.
Right.
Like it's happening right at the same time, and it's almost like Darth Sidious was the apprentice in episode 1.
Right. Yeah.
And it blew my mind.
So there's good Legends material that I think should just be allowed to be sort of grandfathered in, or at least reinvented, and I think fans would be totally on board. So, I think that's my topic.
All right. So clearly, that's ours too.
Yeah,
Marcus and I have both listened to and/or read a lot of the old Sith-centered, Old Republic or pre-original trilogy lore books, which is pretty cool.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Nick, because we're running short on time, and we have a couple more questions that we have to ask, because I feel like in the Star Wars world, there's a few key questions that you have to ask to find out who the person is. But Nick, where do you want to see the Star Wars franchise go? I just need to know your opinion, because I've actually never asked you this.
Wow, where do I want to see it go? I really think I like what we talked about. I want to see my favorite. Let me back up a little. My favorite media form in like movies, TV shows, whatever, is the long episode, like mini series or full series style that like HBO follows, where you get hour episodes and you can get 10 episodes at a clip, and you can really tell, because if you have 10 episodes, an hour each, you can take 2 years to do it, or however long you need to, or whatever, and you can tell a story much better and have much better character development in 10 hours than you can in 2. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell a story with a lot more nuance and richness to it that I think something like a Star Wars universe would really do well in. You know what I mean? So this mini series that's talked about for coming in the pipeline, I'm really pumped about that, because that's my favorite avenue of media presentation. I think because you can really, like, Game of Thrones is my favorite example. It's my favorite show ever. But what they do in that film, you can really take your time and dissect a story. So what I would like to do, what I would like to see from Star Wars is more things in that form. And I know movies make $1 gajillion, so you're going to see more movies. But I would really like to see some shows also, particularly live action ones, but also more animated. It is also good.
Right.
I like the animated series as well.
And I'm just going to round this out. 2 things for me for the future.
Yeah.
Jedi versus Sith.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Lightsabers. That's it. That's all I want. If they give us that, it continues the path, because it's been too long. And maybe it's because I play the Old Republic.
And it's lightsabers on lightsabers.
Yeah. Exactly. But maybe it's just been too long since lightsabers were like the original trilogy. The lightsaber was the story.
Yeah, it was the central point.
Right. And we need to bring that back. Okay. Ready? Here we go. Sam, who's your favorite Star Wars character?
The Ahsoka Tano.
Wow. That's a great answer.
Okay.
That just blew my mind.
Me too.
Marcus is ready for rapid fire, and you totally have him taken aback here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've got my little Ahsoka on my desk right here. She's my girl.
All right.
I think my favorite character.
And for the record,
there's
going to be a live action Ahsoka in episode 9.
Oh, don't tease me like this.
There will be. So I believe through and through, she's going to be in this movie.
That would be so
and
cool.
It's going to be, she's going to be the Jedi Master that helps Rey. And I think that's how it all circles. But we'll go,
that would be so cool.
We should really get together again, Zach.
Zach?
Oh my God. I was thinking about Zach. His name's Sam. When we get the title for the new episode after Celebration.
Yes. I absolutely agree.
Because there's so much speculation I have for this next movie where I think it should go and what's going to get. Anyways, what's your favorite film?
Off the top of my head, I have to say A New Hope, because it's the one I always start with.
Okay. Favorite female lead?
I don't want to say Ahsoka Tano twice, so I'm going to say Leia.
Okay. Well, the question I actually wrote in the show notes was fuck, marry, kill Leia, Padme, or Rey.
Okay, I can answer that too. Fuck Padme, marry Leia, kill Rey. There we go. One done and done.
Wow, that is totally opposite of mine. Go ahead. Next one, Marcus.
If you had a lightsaber, what color it would be?
Blue.
Why?
I think I don't know if I can really get into it much more than I just think that blue resonates with me the most. It's funny. Our show is called Sith Talk, but that decision was our show was entirely, that name was decided by my co-host Zach, and he, I know, would probably use red.
Okay.
He has the most gnarly saber forged cross guard hilt lightsaber that he adores. Thing is a work of art, basically. But yeah, blue lightsaber, absolutely. I think of a color I would take, and it just would be blue.
Okay, last question is, last question. Please tell everybody where they can find your show, your Twitter, your Instagram, anything that they can find Sith Talk on. Please plug it here, because we want everybody to listen to your show.
Guys, you can find Sith Talk under the Adapter Media feed. Adapter is spelled Adapter. We do a bunch of different shows on Adapter Media. Our show is about Star Wars. It's called Sith Talk. We go every Friday. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Radio Public. Those are just the ones I can remember off the top of my head.
Sure.
I have my Instagram account, which is Sith_Talk. My co-host Zach has his Instagram, which is SithTalker23. So please give us a follow in any of those. We'd love to chat. We're always posting fun pictures we take with our lightsabers and pop figures. We have a lot of fun with it.
And all right, so I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Why partner? Because we don't, because Working Class Nerds is just Working Class Nerds. What is the benefits of partnering with Adapter Media?
Well, Adapter Media was a group of us. We actually, I was sort of brought into this group via Zach, who is my co-host. He and a group of his friends just said, we want to sit down together, and we all have different podcasts we want to do. We kind of want to, it's like a strength in numbers deal. And it's fun because we kind of all cross over on our shows. So there's a show that we call it's Stage Dives and Dad Jokes. They're a punk rock show that also talk about being fathers, and they also are on Last in Line, which is about pop cultures and movie and TV. And so all of us kind of bounce between the shows, and it's just fun to have a big group. And we all have our shows that we cover, but we just enjoy being able to kind of work as a team. For C2E2, big convention coming up, we're going as a big crew. So I'm actually going to help out on the other shows and give them good content too. So it's just nice, kind of a strength in numbers. Whenever we do specials, we all get together and just have a lot of fun.
Awesome, cool. Man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
I'm so glad you invited me on. I had a wonderful time.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of Working Class Nerds.